Morning, morning, morning. Who fans? Welcome back to another live stream. Live stream number 2. Good. Excellent. I'm going to try and drink my coffee this morning. The last live stream. I was quite annoyed. I picked up my mug. There was about half of it was full. I think I had tea at the time. And it was cold. And that's really annoying. That's really annoying. But yeah, I hope you're well. Just to make sure that everything is okay, because last week we had a bit of a hiccup. You can all hear me, right? You can all hear me, can see me. Everything's good. I hope. Who have we got in this morning? Who have we got? If my mic is coming through a bit hot, by the way, just let me know. I don't know if I'm distorted or not. But who have we got? Ryan McGivern. Morning, dude. Hope you're well. Morning, Ad. The Ultimate Hoove. A Doctor Who show. Morning, guys. Mark Cochran. Hope you're well. Down under. Struth. Yes, you are coming through. You're coming over all Australian. All Australian. Aidan Hannon. Morning, dude. The Spacebook. Dan from the Type 40. Oh, the Type 40 podcast. Morning, guys. Glad to catch you in real time for a change. All the best. Oh, yeah, cool, man. Cool. Joe Turner, morning. TARDISnet 66, indeed. Yeah. Who else we got? Joe Turner. Morning, Joe. You can see in it. All right, cool. Ryan McGivern, all good. So I'm glad we're all good. We've had some technical gremlins big time this week. Big time. It's not been the best week for tech stuff, put it that way. There was a bit of a really annoying technical gremlin that happened with the old podcast this week. I was not a happy bunny. Was not a happy Gary as a result of that. In a nutshell, Adam and I, every week we record remotely. We've done that the whole time anyway. We record remotely over Skype, and for the last year and a half, I've had the Rodecaster Pro mixer unit, which is awesome. It's never let me down yet. And just the audio file was just corrupted. And the thing is, there's nothing you can do about it. It's not like it's a file that's lost and you can dive back into a backup somewhere. If the file's corrupted, there's nothing you can do with it. So yeah, we had a pretty decent show as well. It's over the last 6 months, we've tried to cut our show down to about an hour to an hour and 20, roughly. And yeah, comments. I'll come to those in a second. And but this one was a really good show because we had a couple of cool news bits that we spoke about, and then because the Daleks is such a big story in terms of number of parts, with the 7 parts, and also it's a really important story for Who as well, we feel. So we spoke about it for quite a while, and we ended up, I think it was about an hour and 50 minutes or something. So we were back to our old 2-hour time slot, as if we were talking about merch, and all that stuff. And so I'm going to have a chat with Adam and see what he wants to do with this, because we can either just re-record it and put it out next week and then shift the schedule along. That's all good. Or we can not do that. We can just go ahead with next week's schedule, which I think is a Torchwood episode. And we'll just mention our scores that we would have given the Daleks. So not sure about that one. Not sure. But I'm sure any of you guys that are viewing, who are content creators, that have ever happened to you, it is bloody annoying. It is annoying. Yeah. Thomas Shaw. Good morning. Morning, Seb. Hope you guys are all doing well, by the way. Hope you've all had a good week and that you've got something cool planned for the weekend. Whether that's just chilling out and watching some Doctor Who, or if you can get out anywhere, go and get out and get some fresh air. I'm surprised the shelves behind you haven't been thrown out the window. Not a Star Wars fan. Doctor Who show. I was gutted for you. Friday wasn't. I'm sorry, man. Yeah, Joe, it was really annoying. Yeah. In a way, I'm glad as I hadn't got round to watching the story in time. Oh, Simon. Yeah, morning, Simon. No worries then, dude. You'll either catch our review and we'll re-record it for this Friday coming, next Friday, or we'll give you our scores and our thoughts briefly anyway. So, yeah, try and find time to watch it, dude. It's an important one for sure. It is an important one. It sets up the template and the formula, if you like, for Doctor Who moving forward from that point. It's very different from the pilot and Unearthly Child, as you guys know. It's it's an important one. So yeah, the Lena show does work beautifully, gents. But some stories are worth going long on. Yeah, exactly, man. Exactly. Yeah, so we're liking the Lena format. We try and get it to around an hour, if possible, but it's difficult sometimes, you know. Doctor Who throwing the shelves in anger after the audio. Oh, right, sorry. Yeah. I'm not going to lie, I did throw a couple of things. Yeah, I did throw a couple of things, but I'm not gonna start trashing the merch on the shelves. Not yet, anyway. But yeah, the Lena format's working. We like it. We try and keep it to under an hour-ish. Well, around an hour. But it's difficult, as you guys know. Anyone that's in the chat that are Star Wars, or any kind. Actually, no, that's a good point. If you guys are doing any kind of content, whether it's Doctor Who or Star Wars, whatever, it's if you're passionate about something and you like it and all that stuff, sometimes it just flows and you end up just talking. But there we go. It's all good. Doing a rewatch of Pertwee at the minute. Can't believe how young Joe looks. Yeah, man. Yeah, Joe was... she's so sweet as well. Jo Grant, isn't she? But yeah, she does it really young. Really young. What else we got going on? Seb, you just recorded a ranking on all Third Doctor season finales. Oh, okay. When you say recorded a video, is that a YouTube thing? Do you have a YouTube channel? Let me know what it is if you do. Inferno, Daemons, Time Monster, Green Death, and Planet of Spiders. Okay. Are you giving us that order, as in that's the order of your preferred list? Or is that just random? Simon, it's on your to-do list. Yeah, do it, man. Get it on that to-do list for this week. Get it watched. Just going to fire a couple of tweets out, let people know we're streaming. John Griffiths. Morning, John. Doing a rewatch of Pertwee at the minute. Can't believe how... Yeah, I just said that, didn't I? Sorry. But morning, John. Morning. The Space Book. Yes, we nearly lost an episode last summer when COVID lockdown demanded crashed Zoom's server. Yeah, months later episode was retrieved. Oh, that's cool. But it was down to the wire. We assumed it was indeed a goner. Yeah, man, it's tough. Tough old game being a content creator. First world problems and all that. But it is annoying. Defo. So, as last week, guys, I've got no agenda for anything. There isn't anything particularly pressing to talk about. It's kind of annoying that the BBC are still really quiet on everything, on any potential changes that the rumour mill has churned out over the last month, I guess, with Jodie probably leaving. Is Chibbers leaving? We don't know. That kind of thing. An update on the new series. The Beaver's been really, really quiet. So there's not much to talk about, really. It's just rumours and stuff around that. So no agenda, just you guys just let us know what you and our cohorts want to talk about. And we will do that. There's no agenda. It's just fairly loose. Come and hang out. Come and hang out and chat Doctor Who. Right, cool. Cool. Who else have we got? My co-host, Adam, has not joined us yet. I wonder if he's hungover again. Hungover. So it is for your YouTube channel, Seb. Okay, cool. Well, let us know what it is. Is it just called DW Sebling, or has it got its own name? Let us know so I can check it out. And it comes out tomorrow. Okay, cool. Doctor Who show, an hour is ideal, but we almost always hit hour and 20. Yeah, dude, that's exactly the same for us. We always say before we record, right, the aim is around about an hour. And other than the one we've just recorded, for the last couple of months, we've pretty much done an hour and 20-ish, which is cool. The 20-minute format for our other stuff like primary sources is kicking goals. Unless people are listening on long drives, they seem to like shorter. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So the other podcast that I do, my other Star Wars podcast, Spark of Rebellion, my co-host Mark and I, we are a lot more stricter with that. One of the reasons for that is because Mark and I work together and we have meetings in and around that stuff sometimes. So we have to make sure that we time box it to an hour. So an hour is the absolute max that we will do that for. But it typically ends up being around 40 minutes, which really works for us. So 45 minutes, unless, like I said earlier, there's some really cool stuff that you want to talk about and all that jazz. But with the Doctor Who one with Adam, it just sometimes we just waffle. And that's the dangerous thing about doing a podcast with other hosts, is that inevitably, due to people having opinions and stuff, there's always going to be that extra bit of bants and extra bit of waffle around stuff. So yeah, we really try and dial it into, I mean, we're never going to do it. We're never going to have an hour's podcast. It's just, unless we were reviewing Class or something, we'd do the intro waffle. How's your week been? Blah, 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 all that stuff. And then, so what did we think about this one? Yeah, it wasn't very good. 2 out of 10. See you next week. Those guys, that would be a really short show for us. But typically when we've got one or two bits of news to talk about and then our review, always takes us over an hour, always. Whereas my other one, Spark of Rebellion, we have to time box that a bit more, be a bit more regimental about that. But you've got a point though. Yeah. I mean, the shorter shows, I mean, you've really got to know your audience. I mean, this is a bit sort of podcast techie, but this is, so I work for a podcast hosting company. So we talk about, and we dive into this stuff all the time. So you've really got to know your audience. So there's a couple of podcasts that I listen to and their shows are really long, but their audience loves that. So they've really paid attention to who their audience are, their listening numbers and all that stuff. So a good example is a Star Wars podcast called the something Rebellion. Let me just find it here for you. It is called the Vintage Rebellion Podcast. And these guys, they talk about Star Wars toys and collectibles and all that kind of stuff. And the average time for their podcast is around 3.5 hours. But they do go up to around 4.5 hours. In fact, there was a couple of shows. 2 weeks ago, their show was 5.5 hours, but they typically run to about 3.5 to 4 hours. So for that stuff, they really know their audience, and they know that their audience engages with them pretty much all the way through their show. And so that works for them. Versus a couple of other podcasts that I listen to. There's one around rugby, Welsh rugby. There's another one. I think it might be a podcast sort of development show around sort of tech and gear and stuff like that. Their shows are very bite-sized. They're like 25 minutes, half an hour, absolute maximum. And you can listen to them while you're just doing a bit of work or making a cuppa or going for a walk or something. So yeah, it's you've really got to know your audience, and that's the thing. Don't be afraid to ask your audience either what they prefer. We did that. So we did a Twitter. I put some tweets out. I think this was mid-December-ish time. I put some tweets out to say, we're thinking about ditching a couple of bits in the format, bringing our show length down. And the majority of people were like, yeah, that sounds good. Around an hour is going to be good. And so, yeah, know your audience, man. But you're absolutely right, Dr. Who Show, to go back to your point about the hour and 20. That seems to be the sweet spot for us as well. We aim for an hour. We go over just a little bit. Ends up being about an hour and 20. That seems to work. So, all good. Joe, have you been playing the Lonely Assassins game on your phone? No, I haven't. I've downloaded it. I downloaded it last night, actually, but I was knackered. But I'm going to give it a go today, see what it's like. Matt from our friends over at the Who Addicts, I think he's just popped a YouTube video out, and I think he played it live and or recorded it or something like that. It looks pretty good. So I'll give that a go later. If you played it, let me know if anyone else has played it. Has everyone gone through the extras on the Series 8 Blu-ray release yet? Simon, I've gone through most of them. There's a couple that I've not seen yet, but I'm going to give that a go probably tomorrow. I got some stuff on today. I need to watch the I've got some this is very childish, but I've got some Lego to finish today. I've still got my some Lego that my wife bought me for Christmas. This big Batwing thing, so that's currently on the floor in the living room and has been there since Christmas in various pieces. So I need to get that done before she hoys it out the window. So I need to get that done. But I'm going to watch the Justice League Snyder Cut at some point today, and I know I think that's pushing like 4 hours or something like that. Plus I've got some other bits to do, so I'm going to give those other bits a go tomorrow on the Season 8 set. But they are cracking, man. I think it's probably up there with one of my favourite sets so far of those Blu-ray collections. It's really, really good. Very, very good. My audio meters tell me that I'm clipping quite a lot. Am I coming through distorted in any way? I might just bring this down just a wee bit. I don't want to be doing your guys' ears in. Let's see if so that might be a bit better. I'm just aware that I'm going into the red quite a lot. I don't want to be distorting, but if it sounds good, then cool. Yeah, so Simon, the extras and stuff, yeah, they're really, really cool. Really, really cool. Love them. It's one of my favourite sets. One of my favourite sets, I think, so far. It's yeah. It's just it still amazes me. It's still crazy to think that although we trash the BBC, on certain things, and you cannot argue with their commitment for these Blu-ray box sets. It's one of the things that they've really hit. They've just completely nailed it with these. You really couldn't ask much more, I don't think. I know there's been I've seen a couple of YouTube videos and I've seen some people that were like, yeah, what about 4K? They should have waited a couple of years until like the AI-based upscalers were to a point where they could have put 4K out and all that stuff. It's like, oh, come on, man. Because if you do that, you're always going to be waiting, right? You're always going to be waiting for the next bit of tech that's going to make your stuff look good, and then you wait for the next bit, and before you know it, like a decade's gone past and you still haven't got them out. So in my opinion, these look, and especially they seem to get much better with each release as well. So they don't get me wrong, they all look good in terms of video quality and all that stuff, but they do seem to they get the knack, if you like, for just knowing what to look for with these remasters, and they just refine it a little bit more every time. It's very, very cool. So some of these episodes, the Damons in particular, just looks amazing on this Blu-ray set. It just they've done such a good job. And you're right, man. Yeah, the extras they're awesome. So I will finish the last. I can't remember which ones I've got left. I've got a couple left that I'm going to watch. So yeah, it's all good. How long does it take? Hold on, let me back up a wee bit. Tom Shaw, did you see the Doctor and Yaz hospital clip? I didn't see it, but Adam saw it. I think Adam commented on it briefly in our now lost recording for last week. But yeah, I think he saw it and wasn't blown away. But I think he was quite annoyed. He was like, "Yeah, it's just I think it's just Jodie doing that silly face and yapping on, and Yaz doing something. I'm not sure. So I haven't seen it, but yeah, I don't think he was blown away by it." Spacebook, how long does it take you to take in a Blu-ray set, watch every feature and ready for the next? Must admit, others seem to race through them, but I have a few items left. Yeah, don't worry, man. Don't worry if you've... Don't let that bother you, man. Like, if you're... That's the danger of... and Adam's terrible for this. That's the danger of social media. It's you're probably seeing loads of tweets and Instagram posts of other Doctor Who fans that have smashed through all the features and they're watching everything, and you're like, I haven't got time. I haven't had the time to watch it and stuff. Don't worry about it. Don't worry. Just watch whatever you want when you want. You know, how long does it take you to take in a Blu-ray set? Like, how long's a piece of string, man? It's like there's no like, I certainly don't think, right, I'm going to set aside 2 hours and absolute minimum, you know, to watch this stuff, and then I'm going to set across an hour over here to watch that. Don't even bother. Just watch it when you want to watch it. Simple as that. You know, just take your time. Like, if you've got like a bunch of I've still got special features on some of the other sets I haven't watched yet, so don't worry about it. Just watch that stuff whenever you want to, man. Every show is always interesting, no matter how good or bad the episode you are discussing. Well done. Thank you, Simon. Thank you. That's all good. I might have to stock up on Stormtrooper beer soon. Do you know what, dude? It's funny you should say that. Stormtrooper beer. It's not the best. I'll be honest with you, these guys. It's not the best beer in the world. I'll be 100% honest. I've had nicer beer and stuff, and these guys are coming on quite a lot. They've released another couple of different ales and stuff like that. But of course, it's Star Wars, so you know, gets a thumbs up immediately. But it's not the best tasting beer in the world, but it's really not bad at all either. And just keep an eye, if you're going to order some Stormtrooper beer, just keep an eye out on their socials and stuff like that, because they're always doing sales and deals and whatnot. So I think probably once every 6 weeks, once every couple of months, they'll do a deal where you can buy like 3 or 4 packs of beers for the price of 2, something like that. So just keep an eye out on their socials, man. They do they do some good deals over there. Not bad at all. Joe, I could just imagine you and Adam going for 5 hours. I'd love to see where you'd end up. Conversation-wise, you end up would be interesting. A 5-hour podcast. Do you know what? We spoke about this really briefly, believe it or not. This was a couple of years ago now. We spoke about doing I think it was a charity thing. I think we were going to do like a 24-hour stream, something like that, or a 12-hour stream. No, it was a full day. It was a full day, 24-hour stream. And because that's a thing that you'll see on streaming platforms like Twitch, where you see gamers do that quite often, or just content creators in general. We were like, yeah, we could do that. Yeah, we could do that. We can get sponsored. We can raise some money for charity and stuff. A 24-hour stream. But yeah, I'm just not sure what we would talk about after a few hours. I mean, we'd be really scraping the barrel after a few hours for sure. And there would be a lot of rants involved as well. There'd definitely be a lot of rants. So we would start off talking about, it would be all light and fluffy for a few hours. We'd start off talking about, our fond memories of other Doctors and our various stories and stuff. And then it would slowly descend into, the stuff that we're not fond of and all that stuff. So a 5-hour podcast, that is strong. You've got to have stamina for that. Believe it or not, I mean, after an hour, and when we used to record our shows that went on for roughly 2 hours, I was feeling it a little bit after 2 hours. So when we used to do those longer shows, at the end when we finished recording, I used to be like, mate, I've got to go, because normally when we finish recording, we normally stay on for a few minutes and just we have a little. So what do we learn from that? Everything was fine. Yep, all good. Stuff like that. But those longer shows, I was like, mate, I've got to go. I've got to go. I've got to get a cup of tea or coffee. I've got to go for a wee. I've got to just get my head out of these headphones and get out of it. So a 5-hour show, that is strong. That's a strong one. Yes. Okay, so you've played it, Joe. You've played it so far and it's great, really interesting. You can just pass a lot of time on it. Okay, yeah, I'm going to give it a go later. I'm just checking to make sure. Yeah, I've got it. Yeah, I'm going to give it a go later. It's going to be cool. You've been playing the Pop Blitz game, Doctor Who show, which is having a Doctor Who week. Yeah, I saw that. We spoke about it. That was one of the news bits on our show that would have gone out. Adam wasn't up for it, but I was like, yeah, this looks pretty cool. Might give it a go just out of curiosity. Yeah, the old Funko Pops. That's a subject in itself, isn't it? Funko. The Terrence Dicks documentary was wonderful. Yeah, it was, dude. That was really, really nice. And they treat a lot of the, excuse me, they treat a lot of these features with a lot of love on these Blu-ray sets. You guys will probably agree. There's only been a couple of special features where you feel like they're having a bit of a dig at sort of past BBC management and the old BBC execs of the time. I think the one that they did that most obviously was the John Nathan Turner, which was back on the whatever box set it was. It was like a tribute sort of thing, and went back and spoke about sort of his early days in Who and how he got into producing the show, and ultimately, some of the struggles that he had and all that stuff. And it really highlighted just how poorly they treated him to a degree. So there are a couple of features where they will go into that stuff and they'll say how poorly things went and stuff like that. But for the most part, a lot of the older folk that were involved in making the show, like Terrence Dicks and people that are no longer with us and stuff, they've really treated those with a lot of respect and love, and it's really nice. So that Terrence Dicks one was a good example of that. It was a really, really nice special feature, that one. Yeah. With physical media dying at a rapid rate, I still wonder if we'll get them all out. I think we will, Doctor Who show. I think we'll get them out. I think we will. I think now that the train's rolling, they will continue to do it and get them out, because I can't imagine that they will expect people to double dip. Actually, at this point, they can't expect Who fans who have started to buy the classics from the DVDs or even the VHSs. If you're that old, you can't expect people to now triple, quadruple dip. So if they only did these to a certain point and then they stopped and said, right, we're just going to do these as digital things, and people are like, oh, so now I've got to buy like the digital versions and stuff. It would just be a bit. So on one hand, yes, I agree with you. Physical media is, I wouldn't say it's rapidly dying out, but it's certainly on a steady decline. I still think they'll put these out. I still think they'll continue and get them all done. As long as people keep buying them, which is a silly question really, because as soon as they go up for pre-order and stuff, they sell out pretty quick, and so they always make their money back just about, I think. But yeah, I mean, I spoke on last week's stream about physical stuff, mainly around the Big Finish releases. And actually, talking of Big Finish, have you guys listened to the most latest one, The End of the Beginning? I think that's the last Doctor Who story in the monthly range. I think that's it now. I think they're just going to concentrate on individual box set stories, I think. But yeah, we're hoping to get a review on the website in the next week or two for that. But if you guys have listened to it already, then let me know what you think, because yeah, it's a bit of a milestone, I guess, for Big Finish now that they're tweaking their content release and stuff. But yeah, physical stuff. Yeah, I think Adam, as you know, Adam loves his physical stuff, and he will be absolutely distraught. Like if they came out and said, "Yeah, we're just not going to do these Blu-ray box sets anymore. The collections, we're not going to do them anymore. We're just not going to do them." I think that's probably one thing that will push him to the edge of just losing his mind. Because like all of us, Adam's a bit of a full-on collector, right? So my co-host Adam, he will buy everything pretty much out there that's Doctor Who, within reason. He's got such a massive collection, and he's constantly buying stuff. And but he often says that these Blu-ray collections are his favorite thing of the last year or two. So if they were to say we're not doing anymore, yeah, we might not see Adam around for a while. I might push him over the edge, and I'd be gutted as well because how many sets have they put out now? Is this number 8, 7, the 7th or 8th set, something like that? So it'd be a shame to just stop and not do them. So I think they will. I think they will keep rolling. I hope they do manage to get all the releases out. I'm looking forward to the Hartnell and Troughton seasons in this format, and what sort of new extras will be filmed, if any. Yeah, it's a good point, Simon. We've spoken a few times about exactly what they are. What are they going to do with the first and second Doctors? Because, as you guys know, there's a bunch of missing stuff. So I don't know. I honestly don't know what they're going to do with that. They could just replicate what they've done with the other releases and just do some animated versions of the lost episodes, or I hope not, but the old telly snaps thing, maybe. But essentially, it's going to be really interesting to see what they do with that. Maybe they're putting it off and they're doing those ones last because they want to make sure that if there are any nutcases running around saying, "Yeah, I've got these old episodes of Doctor Who, and you can have them. I'll happily give them to the BBC if you give me a large sum of money," sort of thing. So maybe they're just biding their time in the hope that if they get all the other releases out in that window, the lost episodes might turn up, or if the BBC are in conversation with somebody that has got them, maybe there's some kind of legal thing that's going on. Perhaps, I don't know, but if not, if those episodes really aren't out there, then they'll probably just do like the animated fill-ins for them or whatever. And in terms of features, yeah, it'd be really interesting to see what they do with that. I imagine Carol Ann Ford will be involved quite a lot with the Hartnell stuff. But yeah, be interesting, really interesting. I was a guest on a friend's world record-breaking live webcast that lasted 41 hours. Mark, what did you do for 41 hours? Hold on, you were a guest, so you didn't do the full 41 hours. Bloody hell. That's like 3.5 days, right? Of constant streaming. Bloody hell. Does everyone keep their old DVDs when they get the Blu-ray upgrades? I know Adam probably would. Yes, I've still got all my DVDs. I haven't given them up just yet, but I will do though. I will do. So once they have released all of the collections and it's all there, I'll probably just do like a eBay job lot of all of those DVDs and just get rid of them. Or I'm not sure. I might take them to a charity shop. I don't know. Hope they go to a good home. Not sure. But I think most of us do. I think most of us keep those DVDs. They're kind of cool. They've got a nice, excuse the pun, classic feel about them. TARDISnet, I think Blu-ray will continue at least in a diminished capacity as more of a collector's item. Yeah, you're probably right. And you can kind of see that happening with physical discs in terms of movies and TVs, because the 4K Blu-ray stuff just hasn't really taken off. although 4K content is still on a steady sort of increase. If you look at sort of the everyday Joe's kind of viewing habits, things like in the UK anyway, things like Sky Television and Virgin TV and that kind of thing, the 4K content is still nowhere near as much as the HD content. And I think Blu-ray still outsells 4K Blu-ray, I think. So I think you're right. I think they'll, as streaming services, you guys know all this stuff anyway, but online stuff and streaming services, as that continues to grow and broadband infrastructure continues to hopefully improve throughout the world, and they've got the bandwidth to push more 4K content, then I think, Blu-rays will come into their own kind of more niche thing. That's probably a decade away, but I think Blu-rays and 4K Blu-rays, whatever, they will be more of a niche kind of thing where the majority of viewing content will be online and streamed. But if you want this really cool collector's thing, then pick up the physical stuff. But it will have to be a really good collector's set. So I think that's probably the way it's going to go. And then the final nail in the coffin will probably be when they finally phase out just hardware. So like we had with music CD players, and what's happening at the minute with car audio, in-car audio, newer cars that are coming out now that have been out for the last few years, they just don't come with a physical CD player. So when manufacturers just stop making Blu-ray players and 4K Blu-ray players and stuff like that, it will force that sort of online thing even more. So it is going to happen, dudes. It will happen at some point. But it's a long way off yet. It's at least a decade away, I would say, from the amount of Blu-ray or 4K Blu-ray sales to decline enough to manufacturers to say we're just not going to make them anymore. So I think it's quite a way off yet, but we'll definitely see that steady decline for sure. Yep. Doctor Who show, you give your DVDs to your mate and you put the Blu-ray box set in their place on the shelf among the DVDs. Okay, that's cool. Yeah, that's what I mean. That's what I'll probably do. I'll just make sure that my DVDs go to a good home somewhere. I'm not just going to leave them on the shelf collecting dust. Seems a bit pointless. Yeah, I agree with that, dude. Aidan, the 60s sets would be immense. One thing delaying them would be the episode count. All the 60 seasons are 40 plus episodes. Exactly, man. Exactly. That's a real big head scratcher for them, I imagine. And I'm sure those guys that are working on the Blu-ray collection sets, I'm pretty sure that they've spoken about it at length, about just how they're going to tackle that stuff. But yeah, I mean, I can't wait. That first announcement when we get either a Hartnell or a Troughton set, I think the world's going to go nuts for those. Yeah. And I wonder if Lee Binding will still do a full color cover art for that. Because, a cheeky little black and white cover, that could be kind of cool. Yeah. Peter Adamson, good morning. Hello there, hope you're doing okay. So everybody that's on the stream, I hope you guys are all doing well, keeping safe and all that. Welcome to our second live stream. So make sure you subscribe to the channel. I'm going to keep rolling with these on a weekend morning. I think these are kind of cool. I might do an evening one. I might do an evening one at some point because I want to get our writing team guys on. Those of you that listened to episode 300 where we got those guys on, we had a bit of a round table. It was really cool. But those guys, I don't think they're free very often on a weekend Saturday morning. So I'm going to do the odd evening stream as well. Might do that sort of monthly, once a month, and get those guys on, or at least a couple of them, so we can talk about stuff in a bit more detail. So that'd be good. But welcome to the second stream. It's all good to have you here. Who else we've got? The Monado. Hello, everyone. It's been, I've not been doing much Who stuff lately, but I have been enjoying the Snyder Cut. Oh, dude, I'm going to watch that later. Yeah, looking forward to the Snyder Cut. See what that's like. If only they could find the Crusades Part 2 and 4 for the complete season 2. Yeah. Oh, man, if they could find them, on to a winner for season 2 for sure. Mark, what has been your most challenging edit for one of your episodes? Most challenging edits. I would probably say there was one, this was a while back now, but there was one show that we did where it was just one of those days. It was one of those days where something was wrong with Adam's internet, regardless of what we tried. Because sometimes with Skype, there seems to be two things that affect the connection between Skype. Sometimes it's your actual broadband connection. And I'm quite fortunate here. We've got a decent broadband connection here with BT, but I don't think Adam's got quite a decent connection where he is. But with Skype, it is determined on your own broadband connection. And then secondly, Skype has its own internal kind of sort of bandwidth management thing where it handles the bit rate based on your connection and stuff like that. And sometimes they don't quite sync up. So there's a couple of times where we've had that. And 9 times out of 10, normally we'll disconnect, reconnect and call the other one back. And that's fixed it. So sometimes on Skype, if we within that first 30 seconds, we can feel it's a bit choppy or it's a bit, the audio is a bit just degraded a little bit. We'll hang up, call each other back, and then that normally fixes it. But there was one show where, regardless of how many times we tried that, Skype just wasn't playing ball. So that was the first thing. Adam's connection just kept dropping in and out all the time throughout the entire show. So every 10 minutes, I was like, dude, you've cut out there again. And he was like, okay, where should I go from? Go from here. Stick a marker on that. So by the time we got to the end, and that was when we were doing like 2-hour shows. So when we got to the end of that, there was like over 30 edits to do just because Adam's connection kept dropping out. Then there was the fact that because his connection was bad, his voice didn't sound very good. So there was these weird kind of staticky, white noisy little pockets of sound. It wasn't a constant thing, but there was this constant sort of white noise, staticky sort of sound. So I had to sort that out as well, or try and sort that out in post. And then there was 2 times within that recording where his door went and he had to go and get a delivery. And then at my end, something happened with my son at his school. So my wife came in, she's like, the school's on the phone to me, you need, so I had to dude, I'll be back with you. So it was just one of those shows where everything just went wrong. Like the audio quality was naff, Skype was crap. He got interrupted, I was interrupted. And by the end of it, I think it took me over 2 hours to do the edit, which was longer than recording the actual show. So I'd probably say in terms of challenging edits, that was the one. I remember that quite clearly. So yeah, that was not good. So back at you, dude. What's your most challenging edit for one of yours? Let me know your podcasting woes. And there have been a few of them. So I'm sure. What about a 60s colour version? Oh, yeah, of course, that would be cool. Of course, that would be cool. But it would also just be cool to have a black and white. I don't know what it is. Maybe you guys disagree. It would just be really cool to have a black and white cover. I don't know. Of course, it wouldn't be consistent. The spine doesn't have to be black and white, but yeah, I don't know. There's something cool about that. Or maybe they could dive down the rabbit hole of, although these Blu-ray collections are they're already limited in their number, they could do a limited edition, which has got the black and white cover as well as the color one. So if they make, I don't know, 10,000 of the color ones, they only do like 1,000. So that's another. That'd be yeah. You can imagine the uproar on that one when they announce that, and it sells out literally within 9 seconds, and everybody goes nuts. Yeah, that'd be good. TARDISnet. Well, maybe they're waiting to get enough animated episodes to at least complete an entire season. Yeah, it could be that. It could be. In fact, it probably is that. Yeah. Simon, you said, aside from watching Who, what is everyone's preferred way of consuming the show? I love how much podcasts have enhanced my enjoyment of the show and its long history, yours being my very first. Well, thank you, Simon. So, aside from watching Who, what is everyone's preferred way of consuming the show? So do you mean aside from watching, what is everyone's preferred way of consuming? Do you mean how we consume the show as viewers, as in, do we watch physical stuff like DVDs and Blu-rays, or do we go online and watch it and stuff like that? For me personally, Simon, if we're reviewing a classic episode, or if I'm just in the mood to watch some classic Who, if I've got the episode in one of the Blu-ray collection box sets, then I'll watch that, because I feel like that's the best way to watch them if you can, in terms of audio and visual quality and stuff like that. If not, then I will normally just fire up BritBox. I've got a BritBox subscription here, and the quality is completely fine with that. So that's what I normally do. I'll reach for the if it's a classic, I'll reach for the Blu-ray collection if it's on one of those. If not, I'll just watch it on BritBox. And in terms of modern Doctor Who, I just watched that on I watched that on one of the Blu-rays that I've got. I used to watch it on Netflix, and the reason why I watch them on BritBox or Netflix is just a convenience factor. That's all it is. But now that they're not on Netflix, I'll just grab the Blu-ray off the shelf. Yeah. I want to watch the Snyder Cut, but I don't know where you can watch it. Do you know where you can watch it? Yes. So Joe, in the UK, you can watch it either on Sky Cinema or Now TV. Yep. Who Can Convince You podcast. I've not heard of you guys before. All right, mate. Hello. It's a nightmare editing. Yes, it is. Well, it can be. It depends on how experienced you are with that kind of stuff, and if you've got your workflow kind of nailed and consistent. But at times, yeah, it can be a right nightmare. But welcome to the stream, dude. Who Can Convince You podcast. I've not heard of you guys before. I'll check you out. Cool. Ryan, on a podcast note, what is a useful way to record a podcast? I'm looking into making my own podcast. Okay, well, I'm going to drink my coffee before it gets cold. I'm not letting it go cold like I did last week. So, one sec. That's a big subject, Ryan. Very simply, when you say what is a useful way to record a podcast, it just depends on what equipment you've got available to you right now. You don't need anything more than this to record a podcast, if I'm honest with you. You can just record into this, get a bunch of shows pre-recorded, and then sign up to a host, and then get your show out there. It can be really as simple as that. A bit of a shameless plug. The company I work for, Captivate.fm, Captivate Audio, we're a really good podcast host. You can sign up for a trial and get your show on there. And we distribute your show to all of the podcast networks and stuff. Really easy to set your show up, get it rocking and rolling. So you don't need anything else, dude, other than your phone. You can just sit there recording to your phone, see how you feel with it, that kind of thing. And you can do it all that way. If you like it and you've got a few shows under your belt and it's something you want to continue to do, then you can invest in, a microphone and an interface and stuff and start doing that and get your quality up a wee bit. So with podcasts, the thing obviously to bear in mind is when you first get going and you're just getting a few shows out there, recording on a smartphone is fine. But as your audience grows and more people start to listen to your show, you just pay attention to the quality of your show, because if you start to get a number of people say, your show doesn't sound very good, or that kind of thing, then that's a sign to start upgrading your equipment. And that's an obvious thing, right? So if people are listening to your show in headphones or speakers on their desk or in their car, whatever, you obviously want that to sound as good as it can be. You want the listening experience to be as enjoyable as it can be. But there is something very cool, something to be said for just sort of rough and ready few shows on your phone, get a feel for it, see what your audience think, and go from there. Yeah. Doctor Who show, you're saying to Simon, right? I still really love reading Who I know listening is easier, but I reckon I've only listened to 50 out of 200 something big finishes. Oh, okay. Is that what you meant then, Simon? You meant other than watching the show, how do you consume? Oh, right, in other media. Sorry. I read you. Yeah, I mean, I used to read lots of Doctor Who, but that's kind of tailed off over the last year or so. I can't remember the last time I picked up a Doctor Who book, but I'm about 3/4 of the way through an old book that's been out for a while that's just been reprinted, Script Doctor by Andrew Cartmel. I'm about 3/4 of the way through that, but I can't remember the last Doctor Who book that I picked up. Yeah, just nothing's really caught my eye or made me want to dive into reading. But yeah, so I mean, the main ways to consume the show would be outside of the TV. Big Finish, the books, the video games. And there was a couple of old animated movies that they put out as well, like some of the old David Tennant ones. I think Dreamland was one of them and stuff like that. They're quite cool. It won't blow your socks off, the sort of animated quality, but not a bad thing. Who Can Convince You podcast. Personally, I tried to get the Hartnell and Troughton ones out on a box set whilst there's some of the cast alive, not to be morbid. No, I would totally read you on that. It's yeah, we have a finite amount of time for that stuff. So and like I said earlier, I'm 99% sure that the people who are behind these Blu-ray collections are aware of that and have spoken about it a lot. So yeah, we'll see. Mark Cockram, a guest's recording failed and I had to use my Skype backup, which meant having to manually remove my co-host from the Skype track. I think I aged 10 years editing that one. Sounds good now though. Oh man, yep. You had to manually remove your co-host from the Skype track. Wow. Yeah, nobody knows the struggle. The struggle is real with podcast editing. It really is. It's yeah, it can be. If you nail your workflow and you've got it dialed in and you're experienced with that stuff, then it can be a real quick thing. Like for our show, Adam and I record over Skype, and I don't record multi-track with that one. With my Star Wars podcast, me and my co-host, I record that through here on multi-track, and then I combine those things in the multi-track stuff in Adobe Audition afterwards in post, and that I can sort of dial in and make finer adjustments to each of our audio tracks and all that kind of thing. But with the Doctor Who one, because I know that Adam is coming through on Skype anyway, I'm only ever going to be able to get his audio to a certain quality anyway. So I don't record multi-track for this show, the Blue Box. I record this just live as if we were doing a radio show. So I use the sound pads on the Rodecaster Pro for our intro and outro and our listener reviews and all that stuff. And we just play them in and listen to them live. So with that workflow, obviously you need to make sure that your levels are all bang on, because that's harder to fix in post. But as long as your levels are all good and that stuff, I just record that live as if we were on a radio show. And then I just do a little bit of normalization, a bit of compression, and a bit of EQing subtly. And then that's it. So that doesn't take very long to do the Blue Box one. The only time it takes a long time is if Skype cuts out, or someone knocks at the door, or there's something and I have to go through and sort of edit those bits together. But generally speaking, it takes me about 15 minutes to do that, which is pretty sweet. The Star Wars one takes me about half an hour to 40 minutes, about half an hour, something like that. But yeah, but I don't envy you though, having to manually go in and do that stuff with the Skype track. No good. Got some good comments, guys. Keep them rolling in. I'm going to stream for a little bit longer. I normally aim for an hour. This is what I was saying right at the beginning. I normally aim for an hour, but it goes over. So I will stick around for a bit longer, dudes. Let's have a look. Let's catch up here. Morning, Sammy. Yes, it is a nice cap. Thank you. Blue Harvest. I'll let you Star Wars fans get that reference. Simon, I love what you what all you podcasters do. The sheer amount of time and effort involved is second to none. Thank you, Simon. Yes, I think my friends on the stream here, Doctor Who Show and Who Can Convince You podcast, and some other people. Who was the other podcaster that we have on this morning? Type 40 podcast, the Spacebook. We can all attest to that. Yeah, for sure. But we love doing it, which is why we keep doing it, I guess. Yep, it's on Sky Cinema. Yep, do that. No worries, Ryan. Ryan, if you need any other podcasting tips or helps or anything, just hit me up on Twitter or something or whatever. We can have a chat about that for sure. Morning, Maria. Gary, love to see a Saturday live stream on here. Maria is one of our writers. You probably know Maria. She puts out a ton of reviews and articles on the website. So morning, Maria. Hope you're doing well. Gordon Hudson, if people haven't tried Big Finish, the first 100 or so are on Spotify. I stopped regular Big Finish at 125, but I still get occasional ones that get good reviews. Yeah, that's a good point, Gordon. And good morning to you. I think, yeah, it's... So we had two news stories that we spoke about on this week's show that's now corrupted. The first one was what we spoke earlier. I'll come on to that in a second. The second one, though, was the massive Big Finish sale that they've got on their website at the minute. I think it resets on Sunday night / Monday morning. But normally those old first run of stories, they've discounted them to $2.99 for ages now, but they've got like an extended sale. So all of those early Big Finish stories are just £1.50. So any of you watching that have not listened to Big Finish, but you're thinking, should I dive in? Should I pick a few up? Just spend a few pounds, spend £5, £10, whatever, and you'll get yourself hours of some really, really cool Big Finish, really cheap. And some of those older stories are awesome as well. Really good. Yeah, so go to the Big Finish website and check those out. What was the other news bit we spoke about? I mentioned it earlier on the stream. It was something that's annoying me now. Gonna find out what that was. We spoke about the Funko Blitz game, which I think Doctor Who Show you played that and said it was pretty good. Yeah. But Gordon, yeah, cool. So I think that's a common thing, Gordon, as well with unless you're a subscriber to Big Finish and you automatically get those stories every month without fail. I think a lot of people do that. They kind of go for a period of time and do that stuff, and then they'll kind of fade away and then dip back in. That's certainly what I did anyway. Simon, majority of my other ways of consuming our podcast and Big Finish and their endless output. Just love it. Also, good old Doctor Who magazine. Okay, yeah, the magazine, we didn't mention that in terms of consuming stuff. I personally, I haven't subscribed to the Doctor Who magazine for a few years now. My co-host Adam, he gets it religiously and loves that. But the thing I find with the Doctor Who magazine is that other than maybe one feature in there or maybe one article, the rest of it, it just doesn't feel like, and I don't mean to sound conceit like a know-it-all or anything like that. I really don't. But the rest of the content in there. See you later, Doctor Who Show. Yeah, be well. The rest of the content that's in the magazine, I just feel like we all know that stuff to a degree. And that's in absolutely no way any disrespect to the guys that run the magazine. They do such a good job, and fair play to those guys for keeping that going as well. There have been so many magazines over the past 2 or 3 years, even more so in the last year due to COVID, that have just ended up just stopping completely, which is such a shame. But these guys, somehow, they just keep rocking and rolling. So fair play. Fair play to those guys for keeping it going. Just for me personally, I just couldn't justify spending or subscribing knowing that I was only going to read 10% of the magazine each month. But if you guys get the magazine, then that's all cool, man. That's all good. Simon, majority. I love reading the novels and behind the scenes books, of which again are in good supply. yeah, the best book. What is it? The Writer's Tale, the RTD book is a really good behind the scenes one. Probably my favourite Doctor Who book for behind the scenes stuff, that one. You Can Convince You podcast. We use Discord for our chat and latency. It's brilliant. Although I record my end in my studio and my co-host records himself at home, the nightmare comes with syncs and edits in post. Yeah, so for that stuff, dude, depending on what software you use, there's a couple of tricks that you can do. So I use Adobe Audition for all of my post-production stuff. And there's a couple of tricks that you can do to try and get your audio in sync. Yeah, if you just do a Google search or a YouTube search for something like Adobe Audition sync vocal tracks, there's a couple of things that you can do. There's a bit in depth, so I won't go into it now. But or if you use something like Logic Pro, if you're on a Mac, so Logic Pro has an automatic vocal sync feature anyway, which is pretty good. But there's a few things that you can do with that to try and get it bang on without too much manual kind of shifting around. So yeah, definitely Google that. I've seen a couple of tutorials in the past for that stuff. Mark, don't get me wrong, I really enjoy putting the show together. It's quite satisfying. Thankfully, challenging edits don't happen that often. Yeah, that's cool, man. If we had to do that every week, then it'd be a different story. Like if those really challenging, awkward edits, if that was a weekly thing, then it would be a real slog. And yeah, probably wouldn't be into that too much. Sammy, I just picked up my delivery of the Target novels, Dalek, the TV movie, and the Crimson Horror, and the fourth Doctor's Adventure Series 10. Wow, so Sammy, you've got plenty of Who to get through this weekend, which is going to be good. Aidan says there's some other Big Finish on Spotify too, like Lost Stories, Companion Chronicles, and I, Davros. Yeah, if you guys have got Spotify, just do a search for... it's a bit weird with Spotify with the Big Finish stuff. If you do a search for Big Finish, then it normally turns up some of it or most of it. But if you also just do a search for Doctor Who and then go on to, I think it's in the playlists bit maybe, then you can find loads more Big Finish stuff in there. So do a couple of different searches within Spotify and you'll find all that stuff in there. Who Can Convince You podcast, Pro Tools here. I'm from a music background, composer by trade. It's a weird change working with just vocals. Oh, you're on Pro Tools. Okay. So yeah, I don't think there's there is a way to do it in Pro Tools, I'm pretty sure. Pro Tools vocal sync audio vocals. Yeah. So just do a search on YouTube. I just found a few of them here. Aligning vocal clips with elastic audio in Pro Tools. Pro Tools Tech Tip, aligning audio clips with sync points. How to align and sync vocals quickly and perfectly in Pro Tools. Whatever software you use for post-production stuff, there's either a system within that will allow you to do that. You might have to tweak it very slightly, but you'll be able to do that. Or there's a couple of plugins that you can grab. I know there's a couple of VST plugins that will help with that stuff. And in Pro Tools, I'm not sure if you have that, but in Adobe Audition, there's a spectral analyzer. So if you've got that, make use of that, because then you'll be able to visually see exactly where you're and really zoom in and you can see where your peaks are and stuff. You'll be able to sync stuff in and do that. So yeah, there are some options available to you. But it's a weird change for you doing just vocals. Yeah, I read you. Yep. Yeah, fair play, Sammy. Sammy's always getting... Sammy, like my co-host Adam, Sammy she's a real big collector, and she often gets in contact to say, yeah, I've just picked up this and this and this. So that's really cool, Sammy. There's worse ways to spend your weekends and evenings than binging all that cool Doctor Who stuff. So fair play indeed. Mark Cochran, the amount of stuff you have running in the background on your computer when you record can also affect things like timings and synchronization. If it's not essential, shut it down. So that is a good point. If your spec of your computer is not quite there and you need to do that stuff, your background processes for sure will play a part in that. I use OBS on my Mac, and fortunately, I've got one of the newer Macs. It's the M1, the own Apple Silicon chip, and the processor is just amazing. It's so quiet. On my old Mac, when I used to stream with OBS or record a couple of things, so during the podcast, if I had Chrome open with tabs so I can look at the news stories and the review stuff, plus I had Skype open, the fans on my old Mac used to kick in and it sounded like a jet engine. And similarly with OBS in the past, soon as I was streaming for more than sort of 5 minutes, the fans would kick in and things would be a bit sluggish. So you're absolutely right. That can affect timings and sync and stuff like that. But one very quick tip for any streamers that are using OBS on Windows, I'm not a Windows user, but I know of this trick, is if you open OBS as an administrator on Windows, that will put it at the top of the hierarchy tree for resources. So all of your RAM allocation and stuff like that will all go into OBS, and then everything else will fall behind that. If you don't open it as admin, it will just fall somewhere down in the chain. So that can affect things like your bit rate as you're streaming and, potentially drop frames and stuff like that. So I'm not a Windows user, but take that tip if you want it, if you're a Windows user. Sammy, I am sad that the podcast got eaten by Cybermats. How dare they eat my favourite podcast? Oh, yeah, Sammy. I know, man. Asshole Cybermats for sure. But yeah, I'll tweet out or something early in the week just to see what we're going to do with that show. I feel like the two options we have, we can re-record it. It might be a bit of a shorter show. We might just ditch the news and stuff and just do a review of just the Daleks. Or we'll record next week as usual, and that will be the Torchwood Dead Man Walking review. But we'll just spend 10 minutes just talking very briefly about the Daleks and our scores and stuff. So I'll let you know what option we're going to do in the week. I'm leaning personally towards re-recording because I feel like it's a really important episode, that one, a really important story. So, yeah, but I'll get Adam's opinion on that and we'll let you know. But yeah, it's a bummer, Sammy. It's, yep. Matt Steele, good morning. Glad to see the live streams back. Yeah, you've just come into the tail end of it, Matt. I'm going to wrap this up in a minute, but good to see you, dude. Yes, it is good to have the live streams back. It's good to chat to you all and other Who fans and whatnot. Are you still releasing this week's podcast, or are you moving it to next week? What is it? Yeah, so as I just said, Sammy, it's I'll let you guys know what we're doing with that. Just keep an eye on Twitter or whatnot. How's Dalek Tap been these days? I don't hear from him, Ad. Miserable. I do not hear from Dalek Tap at all. All of those times where he was like, I'm going to miss you guys, we knew he was lying. We knew he was lying straight, just not even any regret about it either. Just knew he was lying. As soon as that door was open, he was gone like a shot. And that was it. Wham, bam. Thank you, ma'am. See you later. But anyway, he did give me this cool going away present, though. He did give me this soft, there you go, soft Dalek, warm Dalek, little ball of hate, happy Dalek, sleepy Dalek, exterminate. So he did leave me that, which is something, I suppose. Yeah, but I don't hear from him other than that. Miserable. So, what else is going on? Yeah, Dalek. Adam's Postman tends to affect half his collection. Simon, do you know what? Adam's Postman, I think Adam's got a love-hate relationship with the postman. I think there was one postman that was really nice, according to Adam, who said that, he treated his magazine with respect and tried not to mash it through his letterbox and all that stuff. But there was another postman that just doesn't care. So he'll take Adam's Doctor Who magazine, fold it in half, jam it through the letterbox. And I think Adam's also found various parcels that have just been tossed over the fence and the bush and stuff. So, yeah. Yes. Sammy, my postman gets a lot of work out of me. My mother is not impressed, though. Luckily, I don't live with her anymore, so I don't have live in fear of yelling. Sammy, don't worry about it. You're doing your own thing now, man. So if you don't live your... see you later, Mark. Good to have you around. I'm going to wrap this up, guys, in a minute anyways, because our neighbours have decided to start doing a bunch of work. So this is pretty good timing. So, but yeah, Sammy, don't worry about it. If you're living by yourself now, you live by your own rules. You buy whatever the hell you want. So don't worry about it, which is cool. So nearly 20 past 11, 20 minutes over. That's not too bad. I'm going to wrap it up here, dudes. It's been fantastic to hang out with all of you once more and talk Doctor Who. I'm going to keep these live streams going. So when I used to do these before, I had an agenda of stuff that I wanted to talk about with you guys. But last week's stream and this one, I just kept this fairly loose and we'll just talk about whatever. If you guys want to talk about something in more detail and dive into more depth with a particular Doctor or a story or an era or whatever it might be, then let me know. Just tweet me during the week, or I might put a poll out in the week on Twitter, who knows, something like that. Then we'll do that. But yeah, I've kept these fairly loose, these ones. Just been nice to catch up with you all and see how you're doing and stuff. But it's been really cool. So I'm going to wrap it up here. So thank you everybody for joining me for another stream. I'm going to keep these going. For those of you that don't know, my name's Gary from the Big Blue Box podcast. You can check us out on whatever podcast app you get your podcasts on. Listen for free in all of those. Just do a search for us or head over to the website, bigblueboxpodcast.co.uk. You can listen to all of the shows on there. Plus you can link off to the various social networks. We're on those as well. And we have a free Discord server. The link's on the website. Come and check that out and hang and talk Doctor Who over there too. So until next time, please take care of yourselves. Stay safe and healthy, and I will see you next time. Cheers.